Hello world, my name is Daria and welcome back to my channel. It's been more or less a while since my last video was posted. I know it's very disgusting and very horrible and very cringe and terrific that I'm not posting all the time. I'm very sorry about that, and I'm going to try my best to recover as much as possible. Before we'll get into the topic of today's video, we will talk about IELTS and how I passed my IELTS, all the kind of techniques that I was using, talking about, mentioning. Before that, I would just really like and ask you to go to my Instagram and follow it. Perhaps you can watch me teaching, you can watch me doing something else, you can watch my very nice reels, or maybe just support our project that we kind of are volunteering in currently. So very aesthetic, very beautiful, very great if you want to watch me all there. So yeah. What I will dive in primarily will be just showing you my certificate, talking about those kinds of things. So this is kind of like a folder that I have in order to keep my uni required documents, and I received listening 8, reading 8, writing 6.5 and speaking 7.5, and on average I got 7.5, what makes me a C1 English user. Talking about what is IELTS. So IELTS is a English test, English exam, I would say, that is divided into two categories, which is academic IELTS and general IELTS, and both of these are used for two main purposes. Academic one for universities as a proof of your English level, for a university to understand how good or how bad are you in using English, so if you could cope with basically all the kind of information that you'll have to consume in the university. Or on the other hand, there is also general IELTS, which is used in order to immigrate to another country, to an English speaking country, or to work. Now, what I was taking was academic IELTS, and my idea was just to get it for university because I will be applying to English speaking, English taught universities all over Europe and also in Canada, not America. My idea for today's video will be to explain how did I get to this result from exactly 0. I took my exam on the 29th of August and I received my results on the 30th of August. So like in even less than 24 hours, I already knew what score did I receive. I took a computer-based exam, so that's the one that I will be talking about today the most. I think that you can use all of those like techniques and everything on the paper-based exam as well, but I personally never recommend paper-based exams to my students. You choose whatever serves you, whatever works best for you. Let's go. I would like to probably start from the level of English that I had and from the amount of preparation I put into it before I actually took the exam. I was fluent. I've been studying English for quite a long time, so it wasn't such a big difficulty for me to, for example, communicate in English, so I didn't have to start from 0. I took my exam on August 29th. I do remember very well that I had about a month to prepare. So I kind of like realized, and I did understand it very well, that I have very limited amount of time to prepare for exam. First thing that I did was understanding what level do I have right now. So I did was dividing all of my 4 weeks, it was a little bit more than 4 weeks, into every single skill that I had. And basically what I did was also trying to understand in which skills am I already better and in which ones am I completely a very big 0. I was preparing for speaking for about 4 days and I got 7.5, so I didn't really prepare for it. For reading, I had 1 full week of preparation of every single section, so part 1, part 2, part 3. And then for listening, I was preparing for about, I think, 3 to 4 to 5 days when I was taking a couple of exams every single day. Writing, I spent about 2.5 weeks. So, and I also was taking writing additionally when I was preparing for listening, reading, and speaking. Everything I used was just the text on my left side And on the right side, the only thing again that I was using was simply and honestly only the explanations of every single task. That's it. We'll start from the reading section, my absolutely most favorite one. I know that many people had a lot of difficulties with it. So to be very honest, what I have to mention is that reading will be the easiest because you will just use your brain and your eyes. You just see the question, you compare it with something that you can reread a lot of times. Speaking, you have to think very quickly. In listening, you have to think very quickly. A couple of things that I was doing personally was everyday reading. So I had 1 hour of reading in the morning of any book. You can pick something that you personally love. What I was using were Jane Austen's books. And then I had 2 hours of reading before going to bed. So I had 2 hours and then I would turn off my lamp and go to sleep while thinking in English because I was reading English before that. So that's the way I immersed myself into this English articles, reading something atmosphere. The next thing that I was doing was practicing the preparation Cambridge past papers every single day. So during that week of preparation, about that time, I think I was reading at least 3 exam papers every single day. So by the end of it, I read 30 different past papers. And to be honest, it helped me like so much because during my reading section, I got a text about feminism. I got a text about reconstructions in a city for very poor people. And then I think I also got a research text about toads, so basically frogs. I was focusing on timing a lot because during IELTS you won't have too much time. You'll have only an hour and there are 40 questions to answer in only an hour with 3 big texts. So I was doing during the real exam was starting from the hardest one. Then I answered all the questions. Then I moved on to the middle one, so the second text. I answered all the questions and then I moved back to the easiest text, which was the first one, and I finished it in about 5 minutes. Another tip would be just to use a lot of highlighter. So please remember that there will be a lot of paraphrasing. If you have a question, it will never, ever, ever, ever be asked exactly, said, mentioned exactly the same way in the text. The platform, when you will be taking the exam, you will be able to highlight and take notes. So I was taking notes of how do I think this kind of word can be paraphrased. For reading, I would just mention 2 most important skills that you have to have: scanning and skimming. Listening, also more or less an easy section, I would say, as long as you can focus, because I know that it's a little bit complicated to stay full focused for 30 minutes or so. The very good thing is that you can train that. What I would advise doing at least 2 weeks before taking your exam would be to completely stop watching Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts for those 2-3 weeks before exam. Your attention span will say thank you to you during your exam because you'll have to be full focused during listening. As in Cambridge exams, we have everything said twice. In IELTS, you have everything said once only. And you will have to be ready with your answers as soon as possible. You have to understand how to spell, how to type very quickly. And second of all would be your technique, because there are 2 techniques when you are checking your answers. One that I'm using and that I kind of always tell my students is that you do your thing, and then when you have this 1 minute of check your answers thing, I do not check my answers from the first, second, third section. I will go on to the next one. And when I have those 30 seconds, 1 minute, 40 seconds to check my answers, instead of checking them, I already read the next things. They are long, and especially right now with listening, because we no longer have short answers. And then in the end of the fourth section, so when you will finish with 1, 2, 3, and then part 4, in the end you'll have about like 2, I think, minutes to check all of the answers from all the sections. So yeah, in the end, I just checked every single thing. If I wrote everything down correctly, whatever, that was the way that I got 8.0. So now if I would have to retake the IELTS examination and I was preparing for listening again, what I would definitely do would be taking at least one exam paper per day, but every single day. If you want to get 6.5, which is more or less required for every university, you have to work, and you have to work a lot. So what I would go for would definitely be to just like prepare, take your time, take like a year, half a year, and prepare for it, but very, very intensively. Again, what I did for myself, and something that I would definitely recommend, would be repeat the audios in order to catch your own mistakes. Now, for speaking, this one is a little bit more complicated to train without actually using a tutor. In these cases, when you have no way to have a tutor, there are several options to go for. There are, I think, 2 or 3 points where the topics will get changed.
So these 3 times when the topics will get changed, at least half of them, are the perfect time for you to not take your exam, your IELTS at, because you will probably have to dive into something completely new, you will feel quite unprepared. So I would strongly advise to go and take your exam right before the topics will get changed. There are multiple websites on there that will help you a lot to prepare for your speaking section. Basically, I will leave the links in my description, and you'll have to follow them and you will see the most recent topics. So these are just collected from students who have taken their IELTS not that long time ago, and you can use them as your sample or practice questions to practice with every single day before you have your examination. So this way you will know 99% of the possible topics, and you will feel very prepared while taking your actual speaking on the date.
So practice with sample questions daily, record yourself, but that's something that I mentioned before, and have to record yourself and listen back in order to hear yourself. How does it sound? Does it sound natural? Does it sound, fluent? Or does it sound robotic? Sound natural instead of sounding memorized. So do not memorize the correct answers, the very high bad answers. And finally, writing. The most difficult one, especially to practice without a tutor.
So I must say that although I was extremely lucky with reading, listening, and speaking during my actual exam, the biggest problem I had was definitely writing, because I got extremely unlucky with the topics I received. So for the first part, where you have a diagram or a chart or a pie chart, a map, anything else to describe, I had to analyze a map of a future city to be built somewhere, somewhen, who knows, and I had a map of all the kind of waste channels and canals that will be built underground. I had to analyze and give examples of the best places to build basically like houses, flats, and fabrics, depending on the position of those canals. I was extremely unprepared for this first part of the exam. And another one, which was part 2, so the essay one, I had to talk about documentaries and if it's better to have educational content through visual or basically like written sources. This one was a little bit easier. Still, I had to talk about Africans because that was asked in the question.
What I would say is that you have to study high score sample essays in order to understand what were those students doing in order to get this kind of score. I would strongly recommend getting familiarized with the structure. Additionally, please remember that in IELTS, you do not choose to write informal, semi-formal. You always have to write informal speech. Then additionally, please make sure that you do not slip in any kind of like grammar that you're not familiar with. Better to use things that you are absolutely sure about, and as well as words that you do know how to use, instead of using a lot of words that are not going to work. Talking about a couple of mistakes that I personally made was definitely that I underestimated writing part. I thought that it's going to be so much easier, and I almost didn't practice writing like maps and some kind of like plans at all. Everything that I was working with mostly were charts, graphs, pie charts, or whatever, tables as well, diagrams. But I worked with a map, I think just 2 or 3 times, I was strongly advised to pay attention to those areas where you do know that you're weak, because we have to work with our weaknesses instead of working with our strengths. And unfortunately, we really hate it, but I realized it on my own example that I should have paid so much more attention to that than practicing diagrams that I was so fine with forever. A couple of things that you could do if you want in the morning would definitely be listening to like a podcast while you get ready. I was just listening to a podcast about getting into a university because it's something that I really love to talk about and something that I'm particularly interested in currently. This was more or less it. I tried to put as much information as I just could into this video. And additionally, please remember that if you're still struggling, if you still feel like you want some kind of coaching, I offer a lot of one-to-one coaching programs, where I will be coaching you just one-to-one. They are extremely affordable, and if you're interested in these, don't hesitate, just go on my Instagram, just DM me and we will work it out. We will find the best time for you. For me, I will send you the links, and I will also let you know the price and basically any other benefits that you'll get from it. I was very, very happy to see all of you here. Extremely happy to be welcomed back. So I hope, heartwarmingly. So this is it. I was very happy to, again, be welcomed back. And we will meet next time. See you very, very soon. Adios.